Paul joined us for today's episode, and by the end of it, I promise you will know what it means when we say Snapfix it. Ultimately, that is Paul's company, and it really is the WhatsApp for maintenance and management of buildings, infrastructure, and equipment. So 5 years ago, when Paul got this started, he recognized one thing, that essentially contractors were trying to get connected to tenants, and there was a lot of miscommunication and disconnect in between. From a host of WhatsApp messages, to text messages, to phone calls, to emails, you name it, to even in-person interactions, Paul really just started to see how things can become complicated, how things can become stressful, and ultimately he really wanted to simplify it when it was all said and done. So he'll also tell you too what industry that he really decided to double down on and how the pandemic really affected that. But ultimately this industry really propelled him into the success that they are having today. But with success also comes trials and tribulations, and Paul would be the first to tell you that this has been far from an easy journey and why it's so important to have somebody or multiple people to be able to lean on throughout your business ownership and entrepreneurial career. So without further ado, let's get ready to snap fix it. Enjoy episode 160, communicate and collaborate. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Down to Business podcast here with Tamar Turner. I told y'all some time ago when we actually brought on Tiana with Beg For Me label that we were really trying to focus on our international crowd and really just hitting different places. If y'all don't remember, Tiana was actually based in Australia when we called and we did the interview, and it was really just amazing. She was my first international interview. While we've highlighted companies that work internationally, she was actually my first person based internationally. So that was amazing. And nonetheless, we're keeping things rolling here. Very excited to be sitting down with Paul. I think honestly, he was just as excited as I was because he actually connected with me before the interview. We were on LinkedIn. He was telling me that he signed up and everything. So I was very happy. And then as I started going through the page, what he does, he uses one of my favorite words, which is simplicity. So I can't wait to talk all things just simplicity and just keeping things simple. But nonetheless, Paul is joining us today from Dublin, Ireland. So sending big, and it's actually very late where he is. So I want to just shout out to him for hopping on here when he could be winding down and just spending his night doing so many other different things. But nonetheless, he's here sitting down with the Down to Business podcast. So I'm excited for y'all to hear everything that he has going on, how his company could be of benefit to you or maybe even someone you know. So first and foremost, Paul, how are you? How's everything on your end?
I'm great, Tamara. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits to be on your show today. And it's a little late here at night. It's about 10:15, but absolutely thrilled to bits.
Look, y'all, I don't have this much energy at 10:15, so I need to put some notes because you're definitely bringing it. But I appreciate you just the same, and we're very glad to have you today. So now, I know we're going to have some people on your side. I know we're going to have some people tapping in from my side, and then I know we'll have some newcomers along the way who probably know nothing about either one of us. So to bring everybody up to speed, to get everybody on just an even playing field, can you, one, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then can you, two, just tell us what brings you on the Down to Business podcast today?
Sure thing. So Paul McCarthy, I'm the CEO of Snapfix, and Snapfix is essentially the WhatsApp for the maintenance and management of buildings, infrastructure, and equipment. That's the easiest way I can explain it. We use photos, tags, and messaging, and a red, yellow, green traffic light system, which everybody understands, to help people who speak multiple languages to manage buildings and get things done. I'm here today to tell my story. I started this business 5 years ago, and it's been brutally hard. So happy to share any stories about my journey.
Okay, you're already hitting some things from the traffic lights to just the WhatsApp. I know a lot of people are familiar with that and just how convenient it can be, whether you're traveling overseas, trying to keep in contact with family, anything of the sort. All right, so I always love to rewind. I always love to go back a little bit. So you said 5 years ago, so 2018, 2019, somewhere along those lines. So what was going on? What problems were you facing? What issues kind of came across the table that really started to get things brainstorming and started to get that foundation getting set for Snapfix to be what it is today?
Yes, so my own background is over 25 years in IT, computer software development. And in parallel with that, I've always been managing both commercial and residential buildings as part of a family business. So for 6 years ago, and probably a little bit more than that, I had a load of Post-it notes stuck to my face. I had people tapping me on the shoulder. I had emails coming in. I had phone calls from tenants. And I was trying to coordinate everything with contractors. And the common denominator was WhatsApp. But I ended up scrolling my life away, trying to figure out what was new, what was in progress, and what was done. And I said, there's got to be a better way than this. I looked at the market, didn't find anything, and I set myself on the mission to develop the simplest facilities and maintenance solution on the planet, using photos to communicate and traffic lights to collaborate. I was walking by my house one day and I just looked at the traffic light and I said, that's it. The universal symbol of teamwork. Everybody gets it. Everyone understands it, and nobody needs to be trained on it, which is very cool.
I love that. Like you said, everybody knows what the traffic light means, and even for those who don't have a license or who don't drive, I think we pick up very quickly what it is. All right, so to take it a step further now, so I also kind of overheard you saying that it was very hard, it was brutally hard at that rate. So back in 2018, 2019, even before that, let's go 6 years, even like you said, what was really I know your background in IT development, everything of the sort. Did you have any background knowledge when it came to business ownership, entrepreneurship? Was this really you making that first leap of faith and really starting your own thing? How was that?
Yeah. I spent the previous 25 years working for corporations. I spent 10 years in New York City. I worked in Germany, Australia. I was in Mexico for a little bit. But I was always working for bigger companies. So this was my first real foray into raising money to start a business and to build a team from scratch. And it's like your day one conversation. When you're talking to people, I've got an idea. I think people don't want to fill out complex forms anymore, which are horrible and very rigid, and they could communicate using photos. And you've got people looking at you kind of going, that's never going to happen. So, but then when you really believe and you truly believe and you persevere, and one of the numbers I was watching was the number of transactions happening on WhatsApp every day. And at the time, it was something like 60 billion transactions a day. Now it's probably two or three times that. So I had come to the realization or the insight that the world was now communicating using photos and messaging. And I said, okay, that's good enough for me. Now I just need to figure out the equivalently simplest method of teamwork or task management or getting things done.
I like that. And there goes one of my favorite words, that simple word. But no, I understand. 60 billion, that's a B, y'all, with a B, like he said. That's amazing. And like you said, now I could only imagine it's definitely amplified two, three, maybe even 4 or 5 times what that really is. But the fact that so much is really happening right now at this very moment. So that's crazy. So now, all right, so I'm thinking about we're moving forward. Snapfix is kind of getting its start per se. You're really trying to test and figure out what's working, what's not working. How were you really doing the trial and error? What was really working? Were you working with companies immediately? Was this a friend thing? Were you building a team around you? What were really those beginning stages of getting the business off the ground?
We were doing all of the above. It was a real scramble with a lot of plates spinning in the air. I was very, very fortunate to meet my co-founder, who is the Snapfix CTO now, and he really, really understood the vision. And I think that's absolutely critical, is to find somebody who you're going on this journey with, because it is really tough, and you have to have somebody to lean on every single day, every single week. So we built an initial prototype, and then we moved that to what we call a minimum viable product. So we had just enough to get people interested, and we showed it to hotels, to construction companies, facilities managers, property managers, construction companies, and it really started sticking with hotels. So at that point in time, in September 19, we decided to double down on hotels. Um, Hotels demand high quality. They operate 24/7, and they have a large audience of multilingual staff. So they're also a wonderful sector to stress test our solution. If we got to work in hotels, which are very, very hard on buildings, it's going to work in office buildings and apartment buildings, and a lot of buildings that have a lighter impact on those buildings. But the key thing here is we started that on September 19. 7 months later, in the middle of March 2020, we all remember what happened. Every single hotel in the world closed down, and it actually brought me to tears, because we'd worked so hard. I just really got upset for about 24 hours. I was thinking, is what's going to happen now? And we just dusted ourselves off the next day. We got up, and then we widened out our focus from hotels to we would talk to everybody in the world. It didn't matter what type of building they had, what type of infrastructure, what type of equipment. And we proved that we were able to sell to companies all over the world at that point. It was exhausting moving from an absolute narrow niche to everything. But we did that for about 12 months until things stabilized a little bit with COVID. And now again, we're double back down on hotels and facilities management again.
Got you. Now, wow, I think you spoke to a few important points there. One, that things can just happen unexpected. Expect the unexpected. Even like you said, we all know that 7 month mark, it was crazy. But I will also say too that in a sense, you kind of had to take on more. You were, like you said, you had the narrow niche. And for some, like we talk a lot on this podcast about being versatile, about being flexible, about everything of the sort. But and so not to really shy away or steer away from narrow, but sometimes we tell people that the more you open yourself up, the more opportunities that could come with it. But just the same vice versa, the more you open yourself up, sometimes you start to stretch yourself too thin. And like you said, having to now do what you did and double down on that, but now expand it and open it, I could imagine it definitely put a lot more work on you and the team, being that a lot of this was just what y'all were doing, the trial and error. And then the whole, I think people kind of forget too, well, people probably don't forget, but time was just moving that fast. But people forget that there was no timeline to this. There was no end to this. I even had, during the COVID process, I was really like, applying for jobs. And some of them were just like, this will be over in a few weeks. We'll call you back. We'll figure things out. Well, man, some weeks turn to months, months turn to some year. And, here we are. So eventually it's sometimes almost probably felt like you were waking up, not knowing what was on this other side, not knowing what was happening, not knowing when it would end. But like you said, as soon as normalcy kind of tried to peek its head out, you then started to double back down. You started to come back. But with that, I heard that you were talking to so many different industries, like you said, facilities management, the hotels, construction. Were you finding that you were addressing different problems within these industries, or was it that these industries were kind of coming to you, and more than likely, whether the niche was different or not, they were all facing a lot of the same things when it came like corporate?
There was a lot of commonality. It's a really good question. There was a lot of commonality because when you think of any type of building, whether it's a factory, a retail unit, multifamily, residential, or a hotel, they're physical buildings with floors and rooms and plumbing and electrical and all the same kind of things. So we were seeing a lot of commonality, which was gratifying that we were able to get customers in all of those areas. But for us as an early stage company, it was super important to get to what we call product market fit. And product market fit is best done when you really, really focus on one area, win that area, and then you fan out again. And because of the intensity in hotels and the quality that they demand, and also the multilingual teams is very, very important for us. This is essentially a new universal language. If you get really lofty and futuristic about it, we can communicate super efficiently using photos, and we can collaborate using traffic lights with no spoken word or text or typing whatsoever. So the focus on the niche is super, super, super important. And when I studied a lot of startups over the years, and getting the niche right first and then working from there is a really good plan.
I like that. No, that definitely makes a lot more sense. And as you said, like while while these industries can span across the board, the commonalities remain the same, because I feel like once you have a certain business operation, once you're bringing in a certain amount of money, once you employ a certain amount of people, you're having to worry about a bigger scale of things, even from the business ownership to entrepreneurship level, just starting you as a one man or one woman band. As you start to build, you have to consider more, you have to think about more, you have to even try to automate more, just make things a little bit easier for you. So, because you're already going to work hard, that's naturally just what happens, but you also want to work smart and make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck in the process. All right. So now I want to get into this traffic light. I love, obviously, the traffic light, the idea, kind of what's going on, the simplicity behind it. So how, as you said, you were driving and that's kind of when it came to, that was the idea. So now how exactly is the traffic light model, is the red, yellow, and green implemented when it comes to Snapfix itself?
So again, it's super simple. They when anything is created, so let's say you're in a building and everybody in the building has Snapfix on their phone. When anybody is walking around and they spot something, they just take a Snapfix and they keep going. They just walk away. That photo and location gets immediately communicated to the maintenance and management team and is categorized in red. When they decide to progress it or assign somebody to work on it, it moves to yellow. And when that person works on it, it moves to green. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. If you want some more workflow stages, we do have a concept of tagging that you can have multiple tags at the different stages. But the simplest, the customers I love, they take a photo, one person takes a photo, another person moves it to green. It doesn't get simpler than that. They
I was
skip
about to,
over the
I
yellow
was about to
ones.
say, can I beg you to make it any more simpler than that? Wow, that's pretty much, that's right then and there. And I'm also thinking about too, as you even said, why you guys double down on hotels. It really is now starting to. It was registering back then, but now I'm really seeing, like, as someone who's been in hotels, Airbnbs, construction, facilities management, everything like that. I'm thinking like, wow, how this could just be so quick, and you really don't have to say too much. Like you said, the photo, the location, and the colors will speak for themselves as far as tasks. Now, something else that you mentioned earlier was just being elsewhere. You said New York, you said Mexico, Ireland, everything of the sort. Now, how did you begin to implement what you were doing in these other areas and in these places where you had experience and you were just familiar with the markets?
I joke with people tomorrow that it was a B2B selling. We were in our bedroom and they were in their bedroom. So, so it was bedroom to bedroom selling at the end of the day. What we did during COVID was we did a lot of email marketing. So we identified companies all over the world and we just started emailing saying, listen, we've got something really, really interesting here. It's very disruptive. It's early stage, but if you believe in what we're doing, we'd love to talk to you. And we met some phenomenal, and we still have some phenomenal customers from that early email outreach. I think when you're very, very honest and you tell people, like, we don't have all of this sorted out, we're 88% there. I can't remember. I made up some number on a lot of conversations and said, we don't have this thing 100% yet. We're 88% there, but we're committed to it. And if you work with us, we'd love you as an early adopter customer.
Love that. I love that a lot. It's like you said, B2B, straight, simple, to the point, just like that. I love that a lot. Now, do you feel like do you feel like there are people who don't understand what you guys do, what the purpose of it is, what the mission and the mantra behind Snapfix is? Like, have you kind of reached out to companies, whether it be consultations, whether it just be sitting down with people, calls, anything of the sort, and they just can't grasp the concept itself?
Yeah, again, an unbelievably good question because positioning and getting our messaging right is a continual challenge, and it's something we struggle with every single week and every single month, and we try to get it better. In my introduction, I said we are the WhatsApp for maintaining and managing buildings. Sometimes we have customers that want to use Snapfix for something completely different. Field service, men or women in vans doing deliveries and things like that, and it works really well for that as well. Or construction punch lists, or recording the progress of the construction of a property, and we can do all of that. But it's so hard to articulate that in one sentence or say this is what Snapfix is, because you're pigeonholing yourself into one area based on the conversation, but it doesn't very often go broad. So we'll forever be working on our positioning and our messaging, and very often it's in the context of the conversation we're having.
Okay, I like that. But no, I could definitely, certainly understand how just having to explain that, or having to touch it, because everybody has different needs. Everybody, sometimes they have things that they don't even realize that they need until you show them or you implement it or you actually do it. Like, wow, I didn't even know that we could make that simpler or automate that or do something like that. So I could imagine that, yes, for so much what you do, oftentimes you're probably helping people solve problems that they knew they had, and oftentimes you may even be bringing things to light that they had no idea about. So okay, so I'm with you. All right, now moving a step forward from that. I'm thinking about, we said 5, 6 years ago, that was really when we were starting, we were thinking, we were getting things going. I think about, on top of the pandemic, there have been so many things that have happened technologically, especially with where we are now, with everybody just talking about the AI and automation and meta and this and that. Now, on your side of things, obviously, this is a very, I wouldn't say that this is something just completely tech based, but I would say that to use this, I would be in my right mind to say you have to be somewhat tech savvy, know how to download an app, know how to take photos, understand different things. Is that about right?
That's about right, but it's no more complicated than downloading an app. That's it.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
it's our focus is to be as simple as using Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp. That level of simplicity.
He's hip, y'all. He knows the app. So look, okay. So now we're gonna go even further with that. With everything that's happening, with the direction that we're moving in, has Snapfix altered its approach? Have you guys changed things? Have you guys had to make? Obviously, I think from 5 to 6 years ago, Snapfix is nowhere near the same company that it was. But with everything going on, with all the news, all the reports, all the readings, this shift, I feel like this paradigm shift almost. Have you guys been intentional about making updates to stay with the times in a sense, or just keep up with everyone just to make sure that it's still fully compatible?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all about using the smartphone. So everything for us starts with the smartphone. So back in the day, it was okay. We'll start with the photo, and obviously you get the GPS position with your phone as well. We're very, very excited about the capabilities of the phone. So today you can create a work order with your voice. So I can say, "Hey, Snapfix, I have a leaking tap in room 14," and it'll literally create a work order in under 3 seconds, which is kind of cool. Um, on the technology side of it, let's take that example of the voice work order. We can also take that voice and of course convert that to text as well. So you get to see what was spoken, and then move that text to the language of your preference. So we're taking clicks away from people and just trying to make their day a little bit more efficient all of the time. But the thing I'm most excited about is the technological advancements of the phone. So today, as I mentioned, we take a photo and we get the GPS location. In 5-ish years' time, we'll also be capturing the temperature of the room when you were in there, maybe even the air quality and the barometric pressure, whatever sensors are in the phone. We will gather that data, we will send it up to the cloud, and we will analyze it to the benefit of our customers. So we're really, really excited about the increased data points that we can use to the benefit of of our built environment.
And I really want to emphasize to people just how much due diligence you're putting into this, how you had to shift unwillingly in a sense, like not really unwillingly, but not, I wouldn't even really say against your will, but you had to shift unexpectedly. The pandemic happened, you had to recognize that, okay, we doubled down on an industry that's basically right now they're saying no, nothing, they're not letting people in, they're not even open in a sense. But so on top of just even expanding your reach, even expanding your avenue, you also had to come into business and you have to think about these technological advancements, just the updates with the phones themselves, software and everything, just to continue to make things easier. And I even hear now that you're still thinking further, that you're still thinking that, okay, look, 5 to 6 years from now, I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can tell you that it's not going to be what we're living in right now. It's going to be more advanced. So what can we do to continue to stay, to continue to keep up? And I think that that's so important just as a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, CTO, to just always be thinking about these things, always be reading, always just be on the up and up. It wasn't for me. I think it took me really having to immerse myself in the business ownership space, in the entrepreneurship space. And I lost a lot of that just naive tomorrow. It was really just tomorrow thinking, okay, look, no matter what happens, we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. But no, it wasn't really until I started reading up on what ChatGPT can do and what AI is supposed to do and what meta really means, where I'm just like, wow, I thought I knew something, but I knew this much compared to just the huge spectrum and just array of knowledge. And I just love to hear that on your end because it just lets you know that you're always working, you're always thinking, you're getting feedback, you're working with companies, you're working in different industries. Some things are going right, some things are going wrong, some things can be improved and changed and altered. It's never just set in stone. And I think that that's important not only for you, but for anybody, for any industry, even with a job, even with not getting complacent at your job and just seeing what can be done better, taking initiative on things. So that's amazing. I love talking about the future though. I love kind of thinking outlook. I love giving even surprises here. Like I feel like a lot of times down the business we get people to kind of talk about what they're thinking about, what they're doing, reveal some things, debut some things. So without giving too much away, without spoiling anything or not or speaking on things that may not have happened just yet, what are you guys? What is Snapfix really thinking about doing? What are some, even I would say, are there any avenues or niches or things that you guys haven't tapped into that maybe you've gotten feedback from or companies have worked with, or maybe you guys are even doing some testing that the people could expect?
Yep. We've a number of things in test and parallel at the moment. Just imagine again, you're working in a building and you've been in there for months or years using Snapfix. When you take a photo of something now, we've seen the photo before. You know, you've taken a photo of that leaking tap before, so and we know you've tagged it to plumbing and you've shared it with Jerry, your plumber, or whatever. So the second you take that photo, it's gone. It's gone to Jared, and it's automatically tagged. So that kind of speed of workflow is very exciting to us. Many of our customers use Snapfix for meter readings, for example. So they photograph their electric, their gas or their water, or the meters or the temperatures on fridges and freezers and things like this, and to be able to extract those numbers, those meter readings, intelligently to say, yeah, we're good, we're good, oh, we're not good, and just alert them when there's a temperature out of tolerance. So using more of the content in the photos is a very exciting part of our future as well. And then the third part is integrating into smart devices. So you'll have smart devices coming into more of our buildings these days, and they can all have their own systems themselves, and their own controlling systems. But you really only want to tell the engineers or some of the staff when something needs to be attended to. So we take pings from those smart devices. Let's say there's a unit on the emergency exit door. And if the emergency exit door is open for longer than 45 seconds, it will ping Snapfix to say, maybe you need to check this, make sure that the door isn't stuck open or something like that. So that excites us because in reality, I use the analogy of bees in a hive. So we're all buzzing around buildings, and everybody is walking around with a smartphone. So smart people with smartphones equals a smart building. And when used right, and when you leverage that data, you don't need to rewire anything. You don't need to install anything. We've all got the smart building in the palm of our hands. And some people really grasp that when I talk about it, and other people it takes a little bit of time to get it. But I'm a true believer that the smart building is in the smartphone.
I'm with you when you say it like that. When you put it that simple, I can't argue with it, y'all. I'm really big on, just like I said, simplicity is one of my favorite words here with the podcast and just doing everything like that. So it begs the question for me now, just to really hear your perspective on it. So why such a highlight and why such an emphasis on simplicity? What's wrong with all the sticky notes hanging from your forehead and the computers and all the notes going back and forth and all the emails and text messages? I like disarray and disorganization like that, but why? For Paul, why for Snapfix? Why was simplicity such at the forefront?
Um, two angles for this. One is I come from 25 years of computer software development, delivering really big, complex, often unusable solutions, and I will be the first to admit it. Poorly designed, didn't have the end user experience in mind enough, and a lot of dissatisfied customers over the years. And I decided I'm not doing that ever again. That is not what I'm doing. I'm going to deliver a solution that is just going to have overwhelming value, that people will be emotionally connected to it, just like they are emotionally connected to their social media apps. And I put a lot of focus and study into how Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive designed the iPod and the iPhone. And it was really around an obsession to eliminate everything that wasn't absolutely necessary, and then look at it again and say, is everything absolutely necessary? And just keep shaving a bit off here and shave a bit off here, and try to get it down to its purest essence. And I joke with everybody, I had black hair when I started this, that is, simplicity is the hardest thing I've ever worked on. And even today, I've instructed our product manager to remove 10% of Snapfix every year. So we look at the data, we look at who's using what, and if people aren't using something, it's gone. So then we don't carry that forward, because it's quite expensive to carry technology forward. And if you can chop 10% out of it every year, you're in good shape and you're staying lean all the time.
Now that's a new form of evaluation that I don't really think I've heard too much. The fact that you guys are doing that every year, man, I could imagine that while you're cutting some things back, it's also opening the door for other things for you to be able to enhance features that they are using or was very popular, the feedback. So I definitely want to challenge and call. Y'all know I love call to actions out here. I want to challenge a lot of my business owners, my entrepreneurs, my app developers, software, everybody to do that. Look at what you're doing. Look at your models. Look at your media pages. Look at your websites, and look at where the traffic is. Look at what's being utilized. Look at the feedback that you're getting, and start to kind of chop at the bit a little bit. Even I could do that with the podcast. Just certain things that weren't getting the same attraction, attention that they were. I could look at that as we approach our 4-year anniversary in November. So I like that a lot, Paul. So thank you for just continuing to keep it simple. I love it. Now with Snapfix, with the 5 to 6 year journey with everything even that you're thinking about moving forward, is this ultimately, is this what you're, is this it for you? Is this, are you thinking, well, like what kind of, what would you say is the trajectory for Snapfix? Do you eventually just want this to be a thing where it's automated in a lot of different places, a lot of different spaces, a lot of different countries, industries, niches? Do you really, where do you foresee this? Not even, I would say, in the next 5, but really just long term. When we're thinking like 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, you have 25 years experience just in IT itself. So ultimately, where do you want this to go?
Um, I love that question. We're taking a really long view with Snapfix. So we're building Snapfix to be a platform. The app just happens to be the starting point, but it's a platform for getting things done. We just happen to be starting in the built environment, so buildings and infrastructure and equipment, and that's all fantastic. We're already in conversation with some medical companies about other uses. You know, we could be capturing X-rays, for example, and sharing X-rays between doctors and patients, and it's or different treatments. They start in red, they move to yellow, they move to green. So the world is our oyster in relation to use cases. So we're thinking of things like that, but we have a lot of work to do on the built environment first. I see this as a multi-generational company, and I'm saying that very, very seriously, because if we have the world communicating using photos and collaborating using traffic lights at its simplest level, this will live for a very, very long time and have a lot of different uses and benefits to society. Um, in the very, very in the hopefully not hugely long term future, I want to make sure that there's an outcome from Snapfix to help people. We help manage some of the most beautiful buildings in the world, and they're really exotic and fantastic and everything like that. But there's an enormous community who don't have a roof over their head. So it's a personal ambition of mine to help people in the homeless communities by all of the benefits that we will have gained from Snapfix.
That's amazing. That's a totally selfless approach in itself, and how the, just how the business can open your mind up to certain things, just different perspectives, just even humble yourself. I was really talking to someone today at my job, and really just, he was speaking about his niece, 11 years old, being diagnosed with leukemia, and just her attitude from when she found out about chemo and everything like that. And man, just the fact that somebody at 11 years old can just take a deep breath, as he said, and really just make it happen, and have younger siblings looking at her and everything like that. To do that at 11, I don't, that's courageous, if I don't know another word to describe it. But for me, it also put a different perspective on my heart, just about being grateful, being humble, but also wanting to be a servant, wanting to be that humility,
Absolutely.
that dignity that you have, and just really wanting to, like you said, recognize the opportunities that you have and what others don't have, and what wasn't allotted to them, or what resources they weren't provided to. And if your business, if your team can help to assist in that, I love every single bit of that, man, Paul. So before we tell people where they can find you, before they tell people all things Snapfix, and where to start looking and finding some things out, do you feel like there's anything that we have not touched on today? Anything that you want to leave the people with, even our business owners, our entrepreneurs, our audience? Maybe some words of wisdom, some words of encouragement, or even some things along the Snapfix lines, along your line. Anything that you feel like we just haven't shed any light on today?
Yeah, one insight that I have noticed over the last couple of years is we've met a lot of companies and people who gave up looking for solutions because they were so complex and so rigid, and I just call them horrible, or they were just poorly designed. And I would encourage people, don't give up, because there are people out there like myself and the Snapfix team. We're working unbelievably hard to try to simplify everything. Um, the built environment, I think the construction sector, the facility sector has been very poorly served with amazing solutions. But there's people like us out there now trying to simplify it and make it more of an enjoyable experience, and improve people's lives by really, really well designed, well thought out, and beautifully constructed solutions.
I, Man, if I didn't know any better, I would think it's 9 in the morning where you are, Paul. You just you had it all rattled, and y'all something that he didn't tell y'all. I'm going to tell y'all. He has another call after this. So the fact
Yeah.
that he just gave me all of this, and then he's going to hop on somewhere else and give some more knowledge, give some more insight, man, Paul. I'm thankful. I'm thankful, one, just for you being able to shed some more light on this, because honestly, just the bio, going through the website, everything, no pun intended, is very simple. I'm not going to lie. But to really hear it explained, to really even hear it explained, and then how it's implemented in different niches and different sectors, it makes all the more sense. And then to hear the trajectory, the long term, multi generational, helping out the homeless, everything that you kind of want to do and bring around this brand, it's invigorating, man. Just to really, it lights a fire under me just to hear the work that's being done, to hear what people are thinking about, to hear what people went through, what they decided to come up with as a solution, and how it's being implemented and just helping so many people, man. Because 5, 6 years ago, there was a
Yep.
problem. You were tired of just the disorganized, unorganized, just things. You were tired of, like you said, all the sticky notes everywhere. Because I have to raise my hand to that. I'm a person, man. There was a point in my life where I feel like I had a sticky note everywhere in my house, on my desk, on my bed, probably in my bathroom, in the car. Like, it was just like, wow, like, and everything was serving a different purpose. And I was just like, wow, like, now I use iPhone reminders. I'm big on the notes, or I'm big on just a whiteboard, or having some things. So the fact that you can keep everything in house, expand upon that to the 10% that you want to take away with the app, and just enhancing things, man. You haven't said anything I could really disagree with today, man. Not that I get on here to disagree or play devil's advocate, but sometimes I like to challenge things. But for me, just hearing this and just hearing how it's helping others, it's serving others, and going to continue to do so and amplify itself, I'm taking my hat off. I love it a lot. So now, arguably, you said a lot of important things today, but this is arguably one of the most important things you will say. Where can people find you? Where can people look into Snapfix? Where can businesses and companies and different things like that explore your products, explore your services? What are the best places to get in contact with you and the team? Give me everything you got.
Yeah, so the website is snapfix.com. My email address is paul@snapfix.com. Feel free to reach out to me. We're on a mission to create a verb. We want people to say Snapfix that. So we'd love to meet anybody who's interested in simplicity and getting things done in their buildings, infrastructure, and equipment.
I'm gonna have to do some talking to my people over at my company too, because we do building walks every day, and we have to submit some different support requests and things like that. So it's definitely for sure something to consider, because we for sure like to get things done. We love productivity, but we love to always work smart, not hard. So Paul, honestly, I'm thanking you. I'm thanking the team over at Snapfix. I'm very, very excited now, because like I said, you reached out to me. You were excited that people who connected us over at Kitcaster, they were very excited. I love Kitcaster and everything that they're
They're
doing.
great.
But really, man, from start to finish, like I said, just the energy that you have at 10 p.m. I need that in my life. I love that a lot, because you're probably going to catch me in 4 hours. I'm gonna be 10 times less than that. So, but no, I really do thank you for the time. I thank you for wanting to connect. I thank you for coming on here, and I thank y'all for all the amazing work that you've done, that you're doing, and that you'll continue to do. And to everybody out there tapping in, whether it be from your side, whether it be from Snapfix, whether it be in between, you're new, whether it be from the down to business side, Instagram live, anything like that, I thank y'all. I love y'all. This has been another episode of the Down to Business podcast. Here with Tamar Turner.
Thank you very much, Tamara. I thoroughly enjoy that.